I'm going to also record. So, all right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar to learn about the Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week and about the educational resources available from our partner, SubjectToClimate. I'm David Blockstein. I work for Bard College, which is in the Hudson Valley of New York. I live outside Washington, D.C., on the historic lands of the Piscataway people and a few other indigenous communities who were here before the white folks came. So we are the immigrants here. They are not. So what we'll do today is I'm going to give about 10, 15 minutes of introductory to our project, Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week. Then we'll turn it to Elaine and her colleagues from Subject-to-Climate, and we will endeavor to leave about 15 minutes at the end for the general discussion and questions and answers. So we're not going to take the time to verbally introduce ourselves, but I will invite you if you wish to include yourself, provide information about yourself, your contact information or whatever in the chat. So let me begin by saying that the whole process that we're involved here in climate change education and education about climate solutions and climate justice is really important. And we know it. There are many people who are either in the state of despair or in some cases denial about the climate crisis that we exist in, that is our current context, and frankly the context for the rest of our lives and probably our descendants for quite some time. So that's why it's important that we do get together. And our role here is not only to share information, but to build community. And so we will follow up with you. We encourage you to connect with each other in the chat or through follow-up emails, because it's important that we do things together. So I'm going to begin with a short presentation. At least I hope it will be short. And let me just begin. So again, I'm David Blockstein. I work for Bard College in New York, in upstate New York. And our goal here with this project is to scale climate change education on a global scale. And we can't do it by ourselves. Everything here is partnerships, everything is collaborative, and everything is designed to be helpful to the learners who we are all working with. So our challenge in the broadest sense is, how do we move from climate despair to climate repair? And I don't need to tell you why this is important in terms of, is it too late to stop climate change? Well, yes, but everything that we do, positive or negative, makes a difference. And every tenth of a degree that we either warm the planet or don't warm the planet is going to be calculated in lives, tens of thousands of lives, if not more. I will say that, I guess, yeah, last week I heard a webinar with journalists talking about climate change, and the story from them was actually a hopeful story, to say that the big news now is that renewable energy, especially solar energy and to some extent wind energy, are really being deployed on a very massive scale. And that this is a real change just within this past year or so. But as we look to say, what are we facing? what is the biggest threat to our future? And I'll give you a moment to think about what your answer might be to this question. That our answer to this is the biggest threat to our future is sitting back and thinking that somebody else is going to lead. And that's why we're so delighted to have you all here with us today, and in the things that you're planning to do or hoping to do in terms of, and that you're already doing in terms of education about climate change, climate solutions, and climate justice. So we've been at this through Bard College and our partners for 6 years now. We've directly reached over 250,000 students and faculty members and community members through approximately 1,000 educational events, more than 800 classes, more than 80 countries. And the numbers are probably a lot larger because not everybody tells us what they have done. And here's just an example from the 2022, 2023. You can see with the dots around the map that we really have a lot of participation worldwide. And I'm especially pleased to see all the participation in Africa and South Asia, in part because we've been able to invest some resources in them. And here's just an example that people create lovely posters, and they range from very small hands-on events on the right side of my screen to very large auditorium style events on the left side. So the key is really that we don't tell you what to do, that we enable people to do what works best for them and their community. So we use this technique of what we call coordinated climate and justice education, the idea that if we all do things together around the same time of year, that we're more likely to do it than we would if we just said, okay, do something. And so actually, I think I need to stop for a second and share my sound so that I can do this. Yes, okay. So I'm going to show you now just a 2-minute video introducing you to the project here.
Monday.com, the
And of
opposite
course,
of any
we
work
have to
platform we tried in the past.
go
We tried
through
other
the
work
stupid
management
ads,
platforms, not naming names.
Where are you emotionally on climate change? 1 is I never think about. 10 is paralyzing anxiety. Can't sleep at night. Don't want to have kids because their world will be through this topic.
The Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Week is about helping people move from climate despair and disengagement to a mindset of climate repair. This is the education that changes the future. So Climate Week is for everyone. It's for students, faculty, and staff from all subjects, like artists and psychologists, scientists and business majors, students of music, literature, economics, international affairs, healthcare and engineering, you name it.
Join tens of thousands of people around the world in growing climate education.
You can see this is our last year's video.
People on your campus are really worried about climate change. If you step up, others will join you. At your school, you can make climate an event. This means solutions and justice events on your campus. Art, theater, panel discussions, films, faith meetings, music, games, fairs, and displays. Check out our website for examples from all over the world. Engage your whole school.
On top of your events, you can also help to make climate a class. This means encouraging climate-concerned teachers from all subjects, art, history, chemistry, psychology, all subjects, to spend at least half an hour talking about how climate change solutions and justice are relevant to their field of study, how artists, historians, chemists, and mathematicians are all thinking about climate change. We have step-by-step guides on our website to help you make this happen.
Last summer was the hottest in history. Massive fires, heat waves, floods everywhere. We have to stop it from getting hotter every year. You can help organize Climate and Justice Education Week at your school. The biggest threat to our future? Thinking that someone else will lead, that someone else will stop the climate crisis. Now, not next month, not next year. We all need to step up. Join us.
As I say, that was the video from, whoops, I got to. Sorry, I got get rid of the video. Get a little Bernie for us here. Sorry. All right, we'll leave him for a moment and go back to the webinar. So the the project, as I say, the video is from last year. The only thing that has really changed worldwide, it wasn't actually quite as hot last year because there was um, a La Nina the year before that, which made it super hot, but we're still in the top five. And the point is that we all have our role to play. The project is, we don't tell you what to do. We provide resources, we provide curricular resources, as we'll hear about in a moment. We provide branding materials, we provide marketing help, and we provide community helping us all to connect with each other. And so one of our, and we don't, everything is in partnership. And so we're the coordinators and the catalysts, but we're not the ones that are delivering. You all are delivering. And we've been especially pleased that through most of our project, we've been working with a wonderful organization called SubjectToClimate. And SubjectToClimate, you'll hear about that in a moment, but they very much complement what we do because their role is to help you as climate change educators to have access to high quality professional development, high quality curricular materials, and ways to assess your success. So I'm going to turn it over to Elaine Makarevich, who is our partner with SubjectToClimate, and she can introduce their resources and her team. So thanks for joining us, Elaine.
Thanks so much, David, for that warm introduction, and thank you to everyone for being with us today. We're excited to connect you to SubjectToClimate and the resources that we believe can help you on your journey and participate in the project that David was talking about. I'm here with some colleagues. I'm going to share my screen and we'll be sort of walking through and talking through who SubjectToClimate is or what it is and who we are and what we do. So to get started, I'll just briefly introduce myself. I'm Elaine Makarevich and I am SubjectToClimate's Chief Outreach Officer. I live in Northwestern New Jersey and I was a K-6 elementary school teacher for 30 years. So this is my post-retirement and really a wonderful opportunity I've had to connect with so many people and work to help support teachers and be from a different lens outside the classroom than within. But I'd like to share that with me today, I have Katie Narwald, who is our Illinois state lead, and we'll talk a bit more about that. I have Carrie Gallagher, who is our New Jersey state lead. I have Carrie Hoteling, who is our Maine state lead. And I have Laura Vernson, who is our outreach coordinator, and she supports all of the state leads for the 8 state hubs that we have. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll ask each state lead when you have your turn to share some of the slides, you can feel free to give a little bit more of an introduction to who you are and where you are and how you're connected with SubjectToClimate as well. And our agenda for the time that we'll be talking with you today, these are our hopes that we can reflect on the challenges and opportunities for teaching about climate change with all of you. We can help you learn about Subject to Climate as a tool of empowerment for teachers. We can explore the Subject to Climate site to find credible free resources to participate in Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Month. And we can share what does the future of climate change education look like in your classroom. So I'd like to just pose this question, and I'd like for you to share answers in the chat. What challenges do you think teachers face when teaching about climate change? So whether you are a student, an educator, if you're with an institution of higher ed, if you're with a nonprofit or formal or informal educator or education space, I'm just wondering what you see are the challenges. And I'll ask Laura to unmute and read some of those out for us, as sharing my screen doesn't make it easy to manage all of that.
Yeah, so the first answer we got from Tyler Robinson is making content relatable and engaging. And I think that's something that we've heard a lot as a company, that it's hard for teachers to really, first of all, be up to date on all the issues, let alone then start teaching it to children and make sure that they understand the whole concept. And then Mark responds with relevance to the subject matter, and that is something that I believe a lot of teachers see today, that it's climate change can influence not just science subjects, but much more. But how do you fit it in with your teachings? I see there's also a question and somebody wants to unmute, so please go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Gilbert.
Thank you
If you want to ask
very
a
much.
question.
So, to answer to this question, think what challenges do you or do I think teachers face when teaching about climate change? So, for me, the main thing that I consider challenges is when repeated teachings, okay, is when repeated teachings always come or always come towards students, and then students realize that there is no visible outcomes. That, for me, can easily affect students' sense of urgency. Thank you.
Thank you for raising that point. I think we'll see when we move into the next slides too, and what we share, that students really are at the center of all of our work, and helping them see through their education solutions for them, agency, real climate action and impact, no matter whether they're 5 years old like those that I taught, up into graduate level students. There is a space and a place to highlight and bring the information to them in a way that they can feel that there are steps that will create an outcome they can see.
Yeah,
Do we have anything else?
One final answer from Elizabeth Spike was planning time, current data available, and accessible resources, which I think hits almost all of the barriers that teachers face. That's really accurate.
So as we travel across the country, this is what we hear. We sometimes hear that teachers don't feel confident, that they don't feel that they know the science well enough to be prepared to teach their students. We also see that teachers share a lack of time and resources, which is one of what the participants just mentioned. It doesn't fit into the curriculum. We know as educators that our time is so precious. There's so much expected and required. And how can we add one more thing? And we hope today to show you how Subject to Climate helps you to make it connect with what you're already teaching and not have it feel like a burden or one more thing. And sometimes, depending where you're located, it's a controversial subject. And so it makes it challenging as the educator to think about how you'll bring that into your classroom. So I just want to share a bit more here about who we are. Subject to Climate is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to empower all educators to easily and effectively teach about climate change, justice, and action. So our world has a vision where the future has every child learning about climate change and becoming a steward of the planet. And we do this as a resource database. So by way of sharing a website that's free for educators, free for everyone, filled with a variety of types of resources, which my colleagues are going to help walk us through today, and you're going to have a chance to explore it yourself. Our hope is by providing this resource database that we are a doorway or a window or an entry point for an educator, no matter where you are on your journey. And I will pass to my friend Carrie Gallagher in New Jersey, who's going to be walking us through the next few slides.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carrie Gallagher. As Elaine mentioned, I'm the state lead for New Jersey, and I'm glad to be here today. So first, I just wanted to look at our mission statement. And our mission statement is to empower all educators to easily and effectively teach about climate change, justice, and action. And I think that's really important to look at that word easily, because as you know, teachers have a juggling, throughout the school day. So when we are looking for specific things to retrieve something that is credible and easy is not as easy as you think. So I think that's very important. And our goal is to connect teachers with the resources they need to feel confident and integrate climate change education into every grade level and every subject. So let's think about using our tool, this tool, as how to make that easier. So looking on the screen here, you see that we have 8 hubs. And as I mentioned, I specifically work with New Jersey. However, all of the hubs have many different great elements to them that are helpful for teachers in the classroom. So moving forward, thinking about our our resource database. And, as you can see, there are 3 on the screen, there are 3,000 plus resources that are searchable by subject, grade level, standards, and type, even keywords. And I have to just put a personal note in there. I love the filtering system as far as searching for things, because when I am presenting and many teachers just, give me something that's part of their curriculum and I input it in, sometimes with not even doing that ahead of time, and something always pops up. So I feel that the filtering system is fantastic. And this would be one of the first steps, going through the research database is looking at these resources in the teaching resource library. Something that sets Subject to Climate apart is the collection of lessons written here, because they're written by teachers. And myself included, I was able to go through that process and just really, see how the process took place and how thorough it is. And, seeing these full lessons and units, some of them can be standalone lessons and some of them have, just various components that you can grab and take into, a lot of interdisciplinary lessons. There's also the search within grade bands, which is very important. I know there's a lot of teachers out there that are not isolated to just one grade. So if they are, an inclusion classroom, or depending on the setting with several 2 to 3 grade levels, it's good to look at that for grade bands. And very important, they are aligned to the state standards, either state standards or the next generation science standards. So that again makes it easy for you to input into your your curriculum, your any units you're currently doing, and again, thinking about the other subjects you're teaching, how you can implement them. And then moving on to professional development, and just wanted to highlight that we have on the screen these featured courses that are 3 asynchronous courses available at no cost. So thinking about how you can gain more education on how to integrate climate change education into your classroom. These are high quality opportunities and just extremely, I'm going to say evidential as far as providing experiences and, some additional information to make you feel more comfortable implementing it in your classroom. And then thinking about teacher guides, because I am a teacher, and of course, as much as I am presented with new material all the time, I really love a model, and I love that there are teacher guides with all of these lessons. So exploring the curated collections of resources are very helpful through the teacher guides, and they are a first stop for teachers who don't know where to begin. And these guides are on a variety of topics and subjects, and we will dive a little deeper into the teacher guides during the site walkthrough. Lastly, so news for students, very important. And, of course, we want these, all of these resources to be utilized for educational purposes and, obtained, from teachers. However, there are so many youth-friendly resources also on the site. And again, searching for topic. And as you can see, when, Elaine, are you going up and down, or is that doing that on its own?
That's part of the presentation.
Okay.
It scrolls through like that. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. So
What's wrong?
So you can see a lot of, again, how you can scaffold through the
You're very
text
late.
and different grade bands. And you can also assign students by adding it to your Google Classroom, which I know a lot of educators prefer as well.
So I think I'm up next. Thanks so much, Carrie.
Sure.
Yes, thank you, Carrie. I just needed to get back to unmute. I'd like to welcome Katie Narwold, our Illinois state lead, who will take over the next few slides. We're kind of walking you through quickly the elements of the site without being on the site itself, because we want you to explore that in a few minutes when we move you to that. So you'll physically be able to do that soon. So Katie, thank you. We'll pass it over to you.
Sounds good. So as Elaine mentioned, I'm Katie Narwald. I'm the Illinois state lead. I am obviously in Illinois. I'm outside of Chicago, and I have been in education over 30 years in a variety of roles, formal and non-formal educator, and have really been teaching, climate education for all that time before we had, the kind of buzzwords are always changing. So environmental education, nature-based education, but really exposing my students to learning about the planet, caring about the planet, regardless of the subject area. I've been teaching. That's why I was so excited to find Subject to Climate and be able to share my expertise as well as reach as many educators as possible. So as Elaine said, we're going to give you an opportunity to jump into the site yourself and explore. And while you're there, there's an opportunity for you to create an account, which I would really encourage you to do. Laura dropped the Subject to Climate course site link in the chat, and we can put that in one more time. But when you're on the site, on the top right corner, you can create an account. And what that does for you is it allows you to you can put in subject areas and topics that you're interested in, but it really allows you to make that, your own personal library. So as you're looking through resources, you're looking through lessons, you're able to bookmark things and either come back to them or create a collection of things, which is really, really helpful. You also, as was mentioned, when you're searching the resources, there are several drop downs. So you can drop down your grade level, your subject area. There's even a drop down for providers. So if you're looking for a specific provider, maybe EPA or something like that, you can choose that as a drop down. You can do it by location. There's also a drop down for languages. There are, I don't even know how many, but there's a lot, well over 20 languages that you can search as well. And again, pull out some that pop up. Many of them are by grade band, and there is an opportunity to bookmark them, and they will end up in your account. So we are going to give you about 5 minutes to go into the site, the platform, and do some of your own exploring. So please take a minute to create an account and then search that professional development, the news for students, the resources, the lesson plans, the teacher guides, everything that Carrie shared. And then we'll come back in about 5 minutes and we will hear from you on what you found, what you thought was interesting, as well as how this connects to all the good information that David was sharing initially. And we'll close the whole session with some Q&A.
And while you're doing that, I'll just comment, there's been a couple messages in the chat about sharing resources. And yes, we will share all the links that are provided by Subject to Climate and to our intro video and to some of the other goodies that we have for each of you.
Yes, David, we'll be happy to provide a link for the slide deck for everyone to have access to view it, and as well as how to get to the site and also subscribe to our newsletter, which we'll share in a little bit. But while you're exploring, I'd also like to invite Harry Hoteling, who I wasn't 100% certain she'd be able to join us today, but she is here. So I would love for you, Carrie, to introduce yourself. And, if there's anything that you want to give as a pointer while they're getting to the site and they're digging around a bit and searching, looking for things to help them be part of what David shared. Feel free to unmute if you're able to and share.
Hello, can you see me or can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just will say that as a teacher, I was a teacher for 27 years in the state of Maine and have done a lot of outdoor education and environmental education prior with different groups prior to teaching. And I have found that one of the most difficult things as a teacher was actually locating vetted good materials that fit with the main learning results that I'm already teaching. And so Subject to Climate is a really helpful way for local Maine teachers, but really anybody all over the world, to find resources and lessons that fit with your current teaching. It doesn't really have to be an add-on. It can easily be used, as a sub-plans or, in those awkward moments where you have one class and not another, or you have a field day or whatever. There's a lot of different opportunities that could be found there. So hopefully people have found some of those resources during your search.
Thanks so much, Carrie. I think pass back to Katie. I think we just have a couple more minutes for the browsing, and then we'll move along to opportunities for folks to share something that they found.
Thanks, Elaine. So I'm going to give everybody maybe one more minute, and you can think about these two questions as you're kind of doing your last look through. You are kind of thinking maybe was there a resource you found that sounded interesting? You maybe bookmarked it so it can be added to your library, as well as how you might use these resources as you participate in Climate and Justice Education Month. So I think probably we can do it the same way as we shared in the beginning of the presentation with Elaine. If you can either write something in the chat and maybe Laura or myself can read that, or feel free to raise your hand, unmute, and share what you found, what resource you found, and how you might find that useful for this Climate Justice Education Month. And maybe if you're quiet, I'll take it as a good sign that you're so absorbed and just really enjoying looking through the site. I'm not sure if people made it to the teacher guides, but as Carrie mentioned, those are a great place to start. There's a social emotional learning teaching guide that I really love. It's a passion of mine. There's also one about Jane Goodall. So they're all very recent and always being added and updated. So thanks, Elizabeth. Just finished registering. So I appreciate you taking the time to create an account.
Yeah,
And
Katie, that the teacher guides are a great suggestion. And I was thinking, so if I'm at a place where I'm not really sure where to begin, Carrie in New Jersey shared the professional development slide where we have the asynchronous courses. I know for my fellow elementary school teachers who felt like they didn't know the science, that level 0 course gives you the background knowledge and the information. And then there was another question or another point highlighted in the chat regarding how connecting it to the subject area or making it engaging. And when you have the chance to be on the site and you're going through the filters, if you teach chemistry, you can search that and find that subject area, and then you'll find a lesson, a video, an article, an activity, a game, something that connects directly to your subject area. And I think we can't say this enough, that really Subject to Climate is created by teachers for teachers. Many of the members of our organization are current or former educators, formal, informal, and what that does is it allows us to know that the resources we're sharing have been viewed from the perspective of a teacher. So we know that there's something that a teacher would want to use and could use, and that students would be engaged in. So it's sort of another highlight or another piece, just to show why these resources might be, more interesting to you as a teacher in connecting with the Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Month. But we'd also love for you to unmute and share as well.
I have a question. For Subject to Climate, can someone that has created curriculum, can they send it to you so you add it to your resources?
The answer to that is yes. We do have, if you navigate to the website, to the teaching resources, there is a button to suggest a resource. So we submit all of our resources to our content team, and it's a very lengthy process, vetted by scientists and our content team. So there's not a guarantee that something submitted to us will move through that system and sort of reach all those targets. We have a rubric of the elements that must be included, but we welcome that. If you have something that you have found or that you use or that you know, and you think it would be great to share it with other educators, please submit it to us.
But it's free, right? Everything's free.
Yes. Subject to Climate is a free website. The resources are free. It's free to make an account. It's free to connect to one of our state hubs that we have. We currently have 8 of. So if you're from a particular state in the US, you can be connected directly to that local approach. But yes, there's no charge for sharing resources, using resources.
Yeah, and I'll jump in. You can also do that for professional development. There is a option at the top of the professional development page to add a professional development suggestion. So again, it's a suggestion, but if it fits and maybe it could even be related to one of our state hubs, we would love to add that. We would, take a couple of weeks to get that on the page. And I also saw Elizabeth added some thoughts about layout, and that's one of the things I loved, Elizabeth, was just how easy it was to navigate. It was very teacher friendly, and really easy to find things. She needs more time, so that's great. We hope that you will take that time, and ask if there are wet labs. I'm not sure I'm familiar with wet labs. If anyone else from our team is.
Is that like Project Wet? There are things from Project Wet on Subject to Climate, if that's what you're
lab supplies.
There's some organizations in Maine I know that have kits that are free, and you can like go through our partners who have become supporting partners, and some of those partners do have, like 4-H has them in Maine. I don't know if that's true in other places. There's a Estuarine Research Reserve that has them, and they have kits. There's usually a deposit for the kits. They're not necessarily free, but that kind of resource can be found on the hub. And one of the best ways that we're really addressing justice is to make sure that all teachers have access to accurate, good materials. And that can be found easily on the hub.
So this is Elizabeth. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. What I mean by wet labs, you don't necessarily have to supply me with a kit. That's okay. That's just like, you'll need graduated cylinders, and you'll need a balance, and you're going to measure this and you measure that kind of thing, as opposed to, a slide deck and maybe some handouts and worksheets. Are there opportunities for students to maybe observe the effects of CO2 on temperature, just as an example? And then I would know what supplies would go with that activity. And then I would reach into my laboratory cabinets and I would pull that out.
I think I understand a bit more. Thanks, Elizabeth, for clarifying. So I think when you're searching the resource database, you can either search the lesson plans and activities and materials created by Subject to Climate educators and do the same filtering. Filter through your subject or the topic, filter through activities or lesson plans. And then if you go directly if you click on the lesson plan, the first page will be sort of a little glimpse of what is this lesson about. And if it's going to have a hands-on approach where students are actively engaged in a lab or a project, that will be apparent right away. So you'll easily be able to click around on different things and then find something. And that's why we encourage you to make the account, because then you can just bookmark it and go back to it. Because we know as busy teachers, you don't always have the amount of time you'd love in that moment to really read through everything. But yes, there are, and also labs and activities and lessons like that through our many, many partners. So a lot of the over 3,000 resources obviously are not all written and developed by us, but through what we've linked through our partners, we can provide you that direct access and the way to search that database, and then know that what you find is already been vetted by scientists and teachers and ready for your classroom. So we're hoping to really save a lot of that. But I'll hand it back over to Katie, because I think I see one more person wants to share, and then I believe we'll move along so we have more time for questions if needed.
Right. Yeah, do see a raised hand. Do you want to unmute?
Go ahead, Gilbert, if you want to ask something again. No, okay.
Okay, I think also, is it Dolly has a raised hand? Go ahead.
Okay, is it good morning or good evening? On my side, it's still it's almost midnight. I just wanted to check maybe on two things. Number one, how do you the material that you just mentioned? I haven't visited the website. But how easy is it to contextualize this material so that it looks very organic to the environment in which you are bringing that to pass? I joined a bit late because my network is not very strong. And then number two, in a wide area or maybe in a country like situation, how do you identify the schools? What tools do you use for identifying the schools through which you can train your teachers and maybe launch this and then take it from there? Thank you.
I can jump on maybe the second part of the question. The resources materials are organized by grade level, so it's not necessarily by a school. It's just by grade level, and as we all know, students learn at different levels, so you can kind of gauge that as you look at those. And I really would recommend highly the professional development we offer, because it can really help you think about how this idea of teaching climate in schools can work, and how it can be integrated, which might be a good stepping stone for your fellow colleagues, people in your school that are wondering where to start and what that might look like. I don't know Elaine, if you want to jump on the first part of the question.
Yeah, I think that while we have 8 state hubs and we have our core site, which is sort of the umbrella or the parent organization, all of our resources can really be utilized and connected no matter where you are in the world and where you're teaching, because you can find something that's specific to another area, but then find something that's more general or more specific to your area of the world. So it makes a great opportunity for comparison lessons of, what is it like here where I live? What is it like over there where they live? So I think if that's what you were leaning to with the question, once you have an opportunity to go to the website, I think that you'll find through doing some searching of the resource database that you'll find some really great entry points, no matter the grade level, the subject, as Katie said. And I think how do you share this out with other educators or connect with schools? I mean, perhaps that's a question. I'm not sure if you're asking for David to answer that question or us. We attend conferences, we do webinars like this. We use a variety of tools with our team to be in front of as many educators or friends of educators, administrators, as ways to share the resources we have. So I'd like to just quickly ask everyone to take a moment, if you can, scan this QR code. We have a newsletter that we disseminate through Subject to Climate. You're also able to check off a particular state if that applies to you. And we send out newsletters at periodic times, not every day and not several a day. We spread them out to when we know that teachers might be looking for something new, when we have new PD opportunities to share, or if new resources have been added. So we would love for you to join us and stay connected by signing up for our newsletter, which would continue to connect us with you through keeping the resources close to your hands in the classroom. And then I'll pass now to Laura Vernson, who's going to go ahead and take over and lead the Q&A session we have about 10 minutes left, so we welcome any and all questions or resources we can help you with.
Yes, so Q&A is open. I would also like you to ask away about Worldwide Climate
maybe
Justice
bring
Education Month, and also ask David questions if you have specific questions for him.
do you mind bringing back the previous slide? I want to capture the QR code.
Of course.
Okay.
And I'll just add that thanks to you and for many of our partners who are around the world that, a lot of the subject to climate resources have been developed to align with the educational standards and guidelines in the United States. And we're all interested in how can these materials be adapted to other parts of the world. And so, please provide feedback to us and to our subject to climate partners about what is it that you need, whether you're in Africa or in Asia or wherever, and how you're using Worldwide Climate and Justice Education Month in March to share these resources and others to educate your students. So are there questions or comments either for myself or for Elaine and our wonderful colleagues?
David, I just wanted to find out how easy is it to have a one-on-one meeting with you, either through WhatsApp or something? There is
Yes.
something I wanted to discuss with you. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
But
for
also
sure.
the other,
Let
that's
me just answer
one.
that. Yeah, my email is solveclimate2030@gmail. I'll put that in the chat
Okay.
before we leave, but also you'll all be getting a response to me, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with everyone or anyone here.
Then my other question is there an opportunity for us to have a WhatsApp group where we can keep the conversation going and also sharing the success stories? Because I want to believe that we have beginners, we have got those who are in the intermediate stage and those in the advanced stage, so that we can learn from one another. Thank you.
Elaine, do you all have any sort of a WhatsApp group or anything like that?
No, we do not have that, but we do welcome any feedback, especially if you use a resource, you can review it. And that's a way to help other educators see that that was something that was useful, how you used it, when you used it. I believe that you could also email us and ask us anything further, or if you wanted us to connect with a particular school, like let's say you wanted a similar presentation as this, but presented to a cohort of teachers, we could follow up and do something like that. But we do not currently have a system of communication externally for
Yeah.
educators such as that.
Yeah, this is something that's been an issue for a while. And I've been in some efforts like this. A few years back, we created a Google group and had over 100 people sign up, but there really wasn't much activity. And then the most recent activity was a couple people spamming us, so we actually shut it down. So we could, it's not the same thing and not the best approach, but we could use our LinkedIn group if people want to post comments and questions on LinkedIn and use it that way. But we can also think about whether there are other ways. One of our partners, the HBCU Green Fund in Africa, does have a link or a WhatsApp group for Africans involved in climate change education. And I'll get that information from them and put it in the chat. So go ahead, Gilbert. You have a question or comment. Let's see if your bandwidth is better
Okay,
now.
thank you. Thank you very much. So, my first question, I would like to address it to Carrie, who said about professional development, where she really explained about learning more, integrating, and so on and so forth. So, based on this teaching, I would like to hear from her that if students really feel powerless, then what strategies can be used in order to shape civic engagement and policy support? It is my first question to Carrie, towards Carrie. And my last question, I would like to address it to Ellen. Please, your
Harry, I think
explanations were very, very interesting, and I am very much interested in it. But I would like to hear clarification from you, please. So, if students seem to stop believing in being civically engaged, what communication and strategies would be done in order to settle trust? Thank you very much.
These are big questions, Gilbert, which I'm not sure that they're going to be able to answer in the short time before the top of the hour. I will say that if people do want to stay on, and because these are really important questions, and if you do want to discuss these questions, we can continue maybe after the formal webinar ends in just a couple minutes. But cognizant of the time and people's schedules, I want to say that we do have these webinars every week at the same time. Actually, we'll have another version of this one or a rerun of this one with maybe some different questions 2 hours from now. And then again at 9 in the morning Eastern time, New York time in the US. So GMT -5. And then next week, our conversation is going to be about the use of games in climate change education. And we'll send out the link to register for that along with everything else. So I apologize, Gilbert, but there, as always, you have great questions, not ones that can be answered in a short time. So I'm going to thank everybody for coming. Elaine, do you have any last words you want to add at the end here?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, I did see that Kevin had a question in the chat as well about sort of best ways to engage students. And I think the best way to start from my experience is in the space where you are, whether it's your school, your community, your local area, and begin the conversation there with students, with what they can do to feel that they can take action and take steps that make a difference and matter. And then it leads to more questions about doing more in other places. And it sort of grounds the students in the places that matter most to them, which is where they actually live and go to school. So I wanted to just, give a quick answer there. I know that one of my colleagues did respond in the chat, but I didn't want that question to go unnoticed. Thank you for that. And just to wrap things up, here we're just here to support you in your education journey. I thank my colleagues for being here to support and share their perspectives. David, we thank you for this opportunity as well to partner with us and let us bring Subject to Climate to your friends and colleagues and hopefully provide them with a platform that will help them engage their students in the climate education space and continue their journey wherever they are. My email is there. You are welcome to contact me. But also, as David said, there will be a follow-up email going out to the attendees and the participants. So if you want to reconnect, and we'll also include all the helpful links. We really appreciate you all being here today.
And the sessions that we're going to be having, and thank you again for everything, Elaine. The sessions that we'll be having again in 2 hours and tomorrow morning will be the same presentations. And we are recording this, and basically we're going to take the three recordings and see which one is the best, and we'll send that to you and also post it on our YouTube channel. So I'm going to stop the recording and the formal session now. And if anybody wants to stay on, you are invited to do so and to ask about these questions about civic engagement and engage in motivating students. They're excellent questions. And if people want to stay on either now or maybe we can have another time in the future to talk about that. But thank you, Elaine and team, for joining us, and thank you everybody else for coming along as well.